I'm Rachel. I'm 47 years old, and in the last 2 years, I've lost over 150 pounds. In the last video, we talked about something that I think it is important to understand. Weight management does not just happen in a vacuum. We are living in a food environment today that is very different from previous generations did. Food today is more convenient, more available, often cheaper, and also often more highly processed than ever before. Our culture around food has also changed importantly. There are often important social expectations of eating, snacking, and going out to eat around the clock. And for those of us who are biologically prone to more weight gain, navigating that environment can often feel like swimming upstream. But understanding that challenge is only the first step, because at the end of the day, we still have to live our lives. We still have to go grocery shopping. We still have to feed ourselves and our families. We still have birthdays, holidays, restaurants, travel, business lunches, family meals, and busy days when we need practical solutions. So today, I want to take this conversation out of theory and put it into everyday life. We cannot control the food environment outside of our homes, but what we can control is the food environment that we create within our own homes. And that matters. So, I'm going to share the 5 grocery and kitchen strategies that helped me create an environment at home where healthy choices became easier. Not because I have unlimited willpower, I don't, but because I designed my surroundings to better support my health goals. My first rule at the grocery store is simple: start with the perimeter. Now, this doesn't mean that everything in the middle aisles is automatically bad. There are plenty of useful things there and things you may enjoy too. But generally speaking, the outer areas of the grocery store are where you will find most of the foods that have been part of human diets for many generations. That includes fresh vegetables and fruit, eggs, meat and fish, nuts and seeds, whole foods. Foods that are naturally satisfying because they contain the things our bodies need: protein, fiber, nutrients, healthy fats. When I start my grocery shopping there on the perimeter, I'm building the foundation of my meals before I even get to the more tempting items in the middle. And for me, that makes the rest of my choices a lot easier. My second rule comes from my own legal background: read labels like an investigator. Marketing is designed to make products attractive and even sound healthier than they actually are. Common buzzwords today like healthy, all natural, low fat, organic, low carb, and even sugar free can sometimes tell you a lot less than the actual ingredient list. So I turn packaging around and ask, what is actually in this product? Could I imagine using these ingredients at home in my own kitchen? Would I normally cook with them? Is it something recognizable as food? Or is it mainly used to cook in labs? Now, I don't believe every single food or meal needs to be homemade or perfectly simple. That's not realistic. But I do think there's a big difference between eating a certain food occasionally because you truly enjoy it, which is okay, and unknowingly building your daily diet around highly processed products that don't leave you feeling very satisfied. My third rule: learn the many names sugar can hide behind. One thing I noticed when I started paying attention to labels was how many different forms of added sugar can appear in processed foods. You may see things like syrups, dextrose, maltodextrin, cane sugar, rice syrup, and many others. The challenge is that when multiple forms of sugar are added to one product, it can become harder to recognize how much added carbohydrate is really there. Words matter, details matter. And sometimes the most important information is not on the front of the package, it's in the fine print. Also, many people rely on sugar substitutes like monk fruit or sugar alcohols, and that might be best for some. I use those too sometimes. But even so, the proverbial jury is still out on how sugar substitutes really affect weight management, so I would still use these products rather sparingly if weight management is a concern. My fourth rule: prioritize protein that comes in whole, minimally processed foods. Especially when grocery prices are so high, it's tempting to fill up the cart with inexpensive foods that stretch meals further. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be budget conscious, especially these days. But one thing I learned is that the cheapest food is not always the food that satisfies me the most. For me, spending my grocery budget first on satisfying foods has made a huge difference. Things like eggs, fish, chicken, meat, beans and legumes, high protein, full fat dairy, nuts and seeds, healthy fats like olives and avocados, all stay with you and keep you feeling satisfied and full a lot longer than foods made up of mainly starches and sugars and not much else. When I build meals around protein, I stay fuller a lot longer. And when I'm not constantly hungry, I naturally need fewer snacks and fewer impulse choices. One of the biggest changes in my own kitchen is something that would have surprised the old me. The artificially low fat products that used to fill my refrigerator and pantry have disappeared. For years, I thought that choosing fat free or artificially reduced fat products was the healthier and more weight friendly choice. That's to clarify from foods that are naturally low in fat. I'm talking about ones that have had the fat removed. That was the advice so many of us were given. But I eventually realized something important. Those products often weren't helping me feel satisfied. And the fat in food also helps slow down the rise in blood sugar, which is good for weight management. Today, I actually eat full fat versions of foods: real cheese, whole eggs, full fat dairy, butter, nuts and avocados and olives. Foods that taste better, feel more satisfying, and fit much better into the way I eat now. And one of the things that still amazes me in a good way is that I'm maintaining a much healthier weight while eating foods I was once told to always avoid. My fifth rule is one you've heard me mention on this channel before: don't eat naked carbs. What I mean by that is that I try not to make highly processed carbohydrates the foundation of a meal by themselves. Instead, I pair carbs with things that help slow the rise in blood sugar, like delicious fermented foods, added vinegars, and added lemon and lime juices. I also be sure and include foods in all meals with nutrients that help make a meal much more satisfying: protein, healthy fats, fiber, water. For example, if I'm going to enjoy a dessert, I don't eat it by itself on an empty stomach. I enjoy it after a meal with protein and vegetables. If I have toast, I go ahead and have butter or avocado on it. Pickled vegetables or fresh squeezed lemon or lime juice in a glass of water are a delicious and very easy addition to any meal. That's why my grocery list also always includes lemons and limes, vinegars, pickled and fermented foods, flax and chia seeds, nuts, avocados, butter, fresh veggies and fruits, eggs, and other foods packed with fiber, protein, and healthy fats. This is not about never eating treats. I love good food, and it's okay to. Life is meant to be enjoyed, but I have learned that how I approach those foods matters, and my home environment matters too. If you have foods around that align with your goals, you don't have to rely on willpower alone. I set up my environment to make the healthy choice the easier choice. Because at the end of a long day, I don't want to have to fight with myself. Navigating the modern food environment is not about perfection. It's about protection and a bit of planning. If it is about understanding yourself, understanding your biology, and creating systems that support the life you want. One thing I've learned through this journey is that I don't need to be perfect. That's not realistic anyway. I do need to be consistent. I need strategies that work in the real world. And I need a lifestyle I can actually maintain. I have also put together some of the tools and products that I personally use in my kitchen and for my health journey, which I'll link in the description below. Some of those links are affiliate links, which means I may earn a small commission at no additional cost to you. That helps support this channel, so I thank you for checking it out. And in the next video, I want to talk about a huge milestone in my journey. I hinted before about how I decided it was time to move from weight loss into weight maintenance now. Because after spending so much time of my life trying to lose weight, learning when to stop chasing the scale was a very important part of my journey too. And that decision involved a lot more than just the number on the scale. I would love to hear from you too. What is your best grocery shopping strategy? What is one thing you do that makes making healthier choices easier? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Rachel. This is 150 Pounds Down, and I'll see you next week.